lecture, what do we mean by measurement and evaluation in social work? In one lecture. So I would like to summarize that, and then you guys tell me how you want your assessment. Group work is always very difficult. For us, because you're not all in one place, you're in different locations. And so group assignments and things become challenging, and so only a few people are the ones conducting the group work. And so I'll talk to the course coordinator to find out what he wants to do with regards to group work or any other type. And then I thought about us having a practical exercise, using quantitative and qualitative methods, and then final write-up for you guys. But these are all my suggestions. I'll wait to hear what the course coordinator says and what they. I don't know what they've said about your other courses that you're taking. Can you give me a highlight, since I'm not there with you to interact with the teachers and so on? Can you give me a highlight of what it is in your other courses? Who can let me know what it is? Do you do group discussions to look at case studies? Hello, mute. I mean, unmute and respond.
Hello, sir.
Yes. I can hear you, but I don't know who's talking because I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
Can you tell me what your schedule is for other courses so that I'm sure I'm not going out on a limb here? Is it network or what? Can you hear me? I feel like I'm talking to myself.
Yes, sir. We can hear
Yes, sir.
you.
It's not
You're on track,
We
sir.
can hear
You're on
you,
track,
but
sir.
But nobody's responding to my question.
So
the question is
you're
not
on
clear.
track, sir.
We actually did assessment and evaluation. Then in statistics, we did sampling from population. After that, we also deal with different variables, and after which yesterday we dealt with non probability, and
So
yesterday we
go ahead.
I'm mixing things up.
Yeah, your colleagues who are there could also help. So it's not just you to support what you're saying.
Evaluation. No.
Okay, so when did they say your exams will start? When are they ready for exams to start? I know the undergraduate exams are starting on the 25th or so of this month.
Our own timetable have not been released, sir.
It's not been out.
Yes, and we were told we are still to continue receiving lecture. Dr. Kenny.
Okay. Okay.
So, sir.
Yeah, because I have my screen showing.
Okay, sir.
Okay, for here, I'd like to just, in summarizing measurement and evaluation in social work, I'd like to just have a brief lecture that I'll deliver, and then I'll share my script with you guys, like I did, and then I will have a discussion with Dr. Atere, and then develop some of the case studies And like I said, because you guys are not together, it's difficult to work in a group. I will send out the case studies, and each person will write out what they feel is what it is, or give me their perspectives on the case study and submit for discussion. So that would be the next week. I'm going to send that out. So for the next week lecture, we'll review the case studies that you have submitted. So it would be a short case study, and it's submitted in 2 days.
Okay.
And then that will be part of your continuous assessment take and so on.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had discussed several modules. The last one that I submitted to you guys was looking at the program evaluation framework, and then module 5 was outcome measurement tools and so on. And so in all of this, today's lecture would look at from module 1 to module 5, and we'll kind of discuss it in summary. But first, let us again go back to what is measurement and evaluation in social work, because it's essential to keep that at the back of our mind as we review and as we discuss this class and get ready for continuous assessment in case of the case studies. So first, introduction again to measurement and evaluation, which we have shared several times. In each of the lectures, I usually do a brief introduction. We have said measurement and evaluation are foundational processes in social work and underpin the practice, research, and policy development. Because those things help your results from your measurement and evaluation help you, in your practice and also in developing policies that guide the implementation or that activities in social workers. These concepts not only shape how professionals gauge the effectiveness of their interventions, but also influence the ongoing improvement of services and systems aimed at enhancing human well-being. So this lecture in measurement and evaluation explores different key definitions, purposes, and types of measurement and evaluation, their significance, methodologies, challenges, and the ethical considerations that guide best practices in the field. And we'll take each of this and share so that people can see, you guys can see how we're working towards it. And so in key definitions, when we say measurement as it relates to social work, in social work, measurement refers to a systematic process of assessing numbers, symbols, and fables to specify or to specific characteristic behaviors or outcomes among individual groups, events, or processes. This assignment follows clearly defined rules, ensuring that data collected are reliable and comparable. For example, in social work, a social worker might measure a client's level of anxiety using a standardized measurement or assessment scale, a quantity or quantify the frequency of family interactions to evaluate relationships, dynamics, and all the interplay around that client. So measurement provides the quantitative and qualitative basis from which social workers interpret complex human experiences. When you're looking at someone, you don't use one parameter to interpret or translate or determine situations. And that's why you use standardized measures and not just one, many of them, to be able to assess the conditions of the client that you are dealing with. In evaluation, the key definition of it is evaluation is the rigorous process of determining the worth, value, or effectiveness of social work interventions, programs, or policies. It involves collecting and analyzing data through appropriate measurement tools and processes or procedures, then judging the outcome against established criteria or goals. Evaluation can be formative, in other words, focusing on improving program while it is being developed, or summative, assessing its impact after implementation. One aspect that I didn't capture here is processing, which means process evaluation, evaluating while the activity is going on. So evaluating while the activity is going on. So you have formative, processive, and summative. So summative, assessing the impact of implementation. For instance, evaluating a youth mentorship program might include reviewing attendance records, client satisfaction surveys, and long-term outcomes such as educational attainment that can help you know how well the mentorship program is going. Through evaluation, social workers might make informed decisions about continuation, modification, and expansion of services, always with the aim of enhancing clients' well-being and advancing social justice. So, in other words, evaluation is not just done because you want to evaluate, but it's done for a purpose. It's done for a purpose. And I read that again so that when you understand the purpose for which evaluation is done, then you know how to implement that type of evaluation. And what results can you want to make or get through evaluation is that you make informed decision about the continuation of an activity or modification of that activity or expansion of services, always with the aim of enhancing client well-being and advancing social justice. Remember, the client is at the foremost of your interaction, and the well-being of that client is paramount. So, together, measurement in summary for that, measurement and evaluation equip social workers with the tools to transform observations into actionable or into insights, guiding practice with precision and accountability. Are we following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, having said that, we have defined the term measurement and evaluation and looked at what each one entails. So, let's go back to nitty-gritty now. What is the purpose of measurement and evaluation in social work? And we'll look at the different aspects of it. But in general, measurement and evaluation play pivotal roles across the spectrum of social work practice, serving both immediate and long-term objectives. Their integration into daily workflows and strategic planning not only contributes to individual client successes, but also strengthens programs and informs policy. So align the following key purposes with added context to illustrations. Assessing needs. The key purpose of evaluation, measurement and evaluation is to assess clients' needs. Before intervention can be designed, social workers must develop a deep understanding of the unique challenges and resources presented or present in their clients' lives. Measurement might involve standardized screening tools for mental health, substance use, or risk of homelessness, as well as open-ended conversations with observations that you can then use to make your decisions. For instance, a social worker assisting a family facing eviction might use both a financial assessment scale and narrative interviews to capture a holistic picture of their circumstances. There are certain situations in Nigeria, especially in Lagos and Abuja, where eviction has resulted in a lot of challenges, both the government-led eviction and landlord-led evictions. And so if you are asked to intervene, if you're asked to look into that, then what you need to do is to first assess the standard. You have your standardized screening tools, of course. So those are already there, both for financial and mental. You need to have all those ahead, ready, and so on. And now you apply those tools to the people to determine what assistance and so on the person can get. So you also have monitoring progress. Monitoring progress is kind of also process evaluation. Once a plan is in place, ongoing measurements allow practitioners to determine whether clients are moving towards their goals or not. Regular checking, such as weekly mood rating scales for an individual in counseling or attendance logs for a child school-based support group. It provides tangible evidence of progress. These metrics help to celebrate successes, identify setbacks, and adjust interventions as needed. It's the same as a process evaluation. As you're going through your activity, you're also evaluating with the steps that you're following. It helps you to know when to change course, what we call course correct, to correct your course to direct to achieve the goal that you intend to achieve. Another one is determining effectiveness. Evaluation is essential not just for individual cases, but also for programs and policies. By comparing baselines and post-intervention data, social workers can determine if a parenting class reduces reports of child neglect, or if a community food program improves nutritional outcomes. Rigorous evaluation methods such as randomized control trials or logic models add credibility and guide future investments. Let me ask this question. There are some people who bring in food and give out to people, to less fortunate people in Nigeria. Do you see those? I see them on video every time. Do you see those? Who has seen that? Who has witnessed something like that? Has anyone witnessed something like that? Yeah, you have. Okay, that's great. So if you have, can you tell me, based on what we have talked about so far, what are your thoughts about that?
I just feel that the situation of the country is terrible. That we have going through a very terrible stage in this country, and it's just a kind of rendering help or assistance to those in need. That's what I feel.
That's what you feel, okay? So now my question, and your response to my questions shows that you are not looking at it from the perspective of measurement and evaluation. You're looking at it from the perspective of the country is not able to provide for its people, for its citizens.
Yes, sir.
Which is different. You see it?
Yes.
So
Sir.
we learn to maintain a certain thing that relates to the cost that we are looking at. So now that I've redirected your thoughts, can you tell me what your thoughts are about that exercise? I didn't experience it, but I watched it on TV. So I see it on TV. People bring in their cars several times and to a place, and then they start distributing food. A couple of things. One, how planned was this activity?
It's not properly planned because
No, it's
majority
not a
of
question
them,
of. Go ahead.
majority of them at the end of the day, you see them, they waste the food as they are rushing to get what the government want to give them. You see them, they trample on it, and it's not well
Okay.
organized.
So that's good. So first of all, you notice rightly that it is not well planned.
Yes, sir.
So in evaluation, there are three components. So let's take the first component. And can you remember the first component? Formative. And the second one I said was process evaluation. The third one is
Okay.
summative. Exactly. So let's look at formative.
Okay.
So when you say it's not properly planned, what is missing?
Okay.
So if you're asked to take a book and go and sit down and watch that action, what would be the thing besides writing not properly planned? Why is it not properly planned?
Because maybe the organizer, they don't have the idea. They are not well educated as to what they are supposed to do.
That's a general statement. You
Okay.
started something, but you changed it.
Okay.
Yeah. You started something, but you changed it. You started, they are not well advised on the number, and then you changed to something else. You mentioned number.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which is critical, you see. You cannot decide to go and do something without knowing the population that you are addressing.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
Secondly, the venue. The venue. If you are planned properly, you would know that you cannot go to the open and sit down and set up ground to do that kind of thing. If you do, then you need something in place. And what is that? You need crowd control.
Okay.
You see that? You need crowd control. So you bring in either the police or the paramilitary and things, and they stay there and guide people to, and you have to set things, the line, such that people don't crowd and you don't form a bottleneck in a location.
Okay.
So you have to create the line such that it's long enough for people to stand individually and get through it. Because what those people are doing amounts to war situation, food distribution. If you look at what's happening in Gaza, how they're distributing food. They first set up a fence and big crowding, and children are the ones that suffer most because the adults push on them and they press them on the wall, on the fence, and so on. And their hands cannot carry their container high enough. So already that is not an ideal situation. So yes, you're right. They are not properly planned, but you need to be able to break down why they are not properly planned. What is it? They didn't do first a determination of number of people to be reached to determine how much food they need to get.
Okay.
Two, they did not do a good plan in terms of location where people would not be trampled upon while coming to get the food.
Okay.
And three, they didn't look really at the nutritional needs. They just based on their own whims and caprice said, okay, we'll just get the jollof rice and chicken, or jollof rice and chicken and fish, fried fish. You see the point? So you just choose things like that at random, and then you get the media to watch you. So those people are distributing food and so on. So right there and then it is, and then you look at the process at which they were conducting it. And then by the end of the day, when you do a summative evaluation, what would you say they achieved? They achieved distributing food to a number of people. Even if you can count that number, assuming they had it all in styrofoam packs, and in waterproof, they put jollof rice and chicken, and then a bottle or a can of Coke or Fanta, and then give it to them. And they had for 3,000 people. And they gave it out to 3,000. How are they sure 3,000 people received it? Maybe one person may have come back 2 or 3 times.
And take again.
Exactly. So they didn't actually reach 3,000 people. So those are the things you look at when you're performing, putting together an activity. And that's why this course is very essential to help you even in your daily life or in your office program and things, to know that you don't just wake up and say, oh, these people are suffering. And things, what you're doing by that, your first statement, when you say that the people are suffering, that this, what you're doing is called pathos. 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 Pathos means appealing to emotion.
Okay.
You are making a decision based on emotions.
Okay.
And those kinds of decisions lack objectivity.
Okay.
Because it is based on your feelings. And feelings are not usually objective. So you need to do that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So we've talked about.
Okay, thank you.
We've talked about that.
Sir, before you go ahead, doctor.
Yes. Yeah.
This measurement, we can now even relate it to what happened in Nigeria, Ibadan, or your state specifically, recently, with the children that some NGO women organized, and because they did not take these measurements as a serious something, planning, arrangement, and how many numbers of children that will come and all those, we lost a lot of children at Oyo Ibadan specifically, and the thing were taken to court in the process of
Exactly.
good intention, because measurement was not taken into consideration and all that. The good aims turns to bad something. I think
Right,
so.
of course. Very true.
Yes,
That
it
example
happened
you
in
gave.
Nigeria recently at Oyo
That
State.
example you gave. That example you gave is very, very important.
And children
It's
suffers.
Mhm.
All the minors suffers because adults comes back again to take, whereas it's not meant for them.
Exactly.
It's meant for the children.
Right. So now the question is, now the government may decide that though people cannot do that again because children are lost. You see the point? So children who would have benefited from that are not able to benefit from it. And so they keep dying from malnutrition and things because of a poor planning at the beginning of something else. And government has, without government taking this, looking at it and say, if you want to do it, this is how you do it. Government didn't advise anymore. They just say, stop it. So we act on a whim. We are reactive. So when you say stop it, well, what are you doing for those children who will not be able to receive those? So you see, it's government action after the fact also causes more problems. So in civilized communities, you cannot do that. If you look at food distribution in the West and so on, when especially during COVID, I would encourage people to Google food distribution during COVID. Choose a place. I can tell you, okay, maybe choose Texas and see how organized it was. And there are also what we call food banks. Food banks. Even churches and so on have those food banks where you don't invite on a day, you invite everybody, but every day you have a time. If you need food or need at this time, like my church in Raleigh, Texas, come between 8 and 3 o'clock. And you drive in to the porch of the church. They will come with a shopping cart. You open your boot and they put the things inside and close it and you drive away. If you walked on foot, you come in, you collect whatever it is you collect, and you walk away. There is no crowd. There is no. So you have a window to time between which to come and pick up and go. So yes, people, if we can do that, apply that principles and so on, it will be well organized and people can. But you see, in Nigeria, you cannot rule out the fact that there will be people who will take advantage of it. But you will limit the disaster, the casualty that may arise from things like that. So let's go back to determining, this is different, determining effectiveness. Determining effectiveness. Evaluation is essential not just for individual cases, but also for programs and policies. By comparing baselines and post-intervention data, social workers can determine if parenting classes reduces report of child neglect, or if community food programs improve nutrition outcomes. I went back to read this to then make us go back to the discussion we had and ask the question. Children? No, because they, first of all, they didn't have a baseline on what the nutritional outcome of the children is. I hope I'm traveling, so where I am, network may not be stable. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We are hearing you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We are hearing you, sir.
We are hearing you, sir.
We are here, sir.
We can hear you, but the slide is static. It's not moving.
No, I'm not moving the slide. I'm just talking because I like this slide because after the discussions, I will come back to this slide to look at what role we're going to play.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about having to jot notes based on the slide, don't worry about it. I'll send you the lecture notes immediately after the class. It will be posted on the screen. I'll send it to the IT person to post for you guys.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So let's look at accountability. In an environment where resources are often limited and demand is high, social workers must demonstrate the value and impact of their work. So measurement and evaluation provides the evidence needed to report outcomes to funders, supervisors, and stakeholders. For example, a non-profit organization may use client satisfaction surveys and service utilization statistics to justify continued funding to advocate for a policy change. So, assuming, I'd like to fall back on that example you gave because we discussed it before and can relate to it. If the government had come up based on the Oyo Ibadan thing, if the government had said stop it, no more food distribution and so on, that would be challenging, especially for the kids who may be eating just once a day or once in 2 days. But the government could institute a study to assess what happened, how it happened, and how it can be improved, or how it can be prevented. This case, not improved, prevented. And then after that, review that study and come up with a policy that provides guidelines on what people should do when they are having to distribute food to children. Because the first thing to do if you're going to be distributing food to children, you go to where children congregate, not in an open market, or like you go to Dugbe market, you go out from front and you want to distribute food. That's not where you distribute food to children. When you go to a school, and you can plan it and say, okay, today is this school, tomorrow is another school, and so on. And then this is how you go about it. And the school authorities would be notified ahead of time to make room for that. You know. Development and improvement. Again, that's why measurement and evaluation is very essential. Continuous feedback from measurement and evaluation ensures that programs remain responsive and relevant. Data-driven insights might reveal gaps in services, highlight unmet needs, or inspire innovations. For instance, a youth program might expand to include family counseling after evaluation shows that parental involvement enhances outcome. So if you have a youth program and you have shown that involving parents enhances the outcome of so then family counseling would be way to go. Because then you bring the children and the parents together and counsel them. So, in summary, by weaving measurement and evaluation into the fabric of practice, social workers can respond dynamically to changing needs, uphold ethical standards, and drive lasting social change. Each data point, whether quantitative or qualitative, becomes a tool for advocacy, reflection, transformation, making these processes essential to the profession's commitments to equity and empowerment. So now we go to types of measurements. You all know the types of measurement, but generally, social workers employ diverse forms of measurement, each suited to a particular context and objective, creating a nuanced tapestry of inquiry that reflects the complexity of human experience and social systems. The first one will be qualitative measurement. I'm sure you have done that in your various classes. You've done that in our various classes, so it's easy to know things. And when you ask somebody immediately, give me an example of a qualitative measurement to tell you focus group discussion. So qualitative methods delve into rich description, into the rich description aspects of human behavior and social phenomena. These approaches prioritizes context, meaning, and the perspective of client and community. For example, in-depth interviews with survivors of domestic violence might reveal a nuanced emotional response and coping strategies that standardized surveys could overlook. Focus groups, ethnographic observations, and narrative analysis further allows social workers to understand the lived realities, values, and aspirations of those they serve. Such qualities or such qualitative data are invaluable in shaping interventions that are culturally sensitive and tailored to individual needs, offering insights into why certain programs succeed or fail, and revealing the subtle impact of policy decisions. So that's why the qualitative measurement tool is very essential. Yes? Okay. Qualitative measurement tool is very essential because it gives you use it to elucidate quantitative measurement tool. So if you have administered surveys, questionnaires, and people have filled it up and so, and you analyze and get your results, you would like to say, well, how cogent, how real is this result? So let's try to elucidate that. And so you go into qualitative measurement. So it helps to elucidate your data that you have gotten from your quantitative data that you got. So I'm missing. Yeah, okay. So next is quantitative measurement. Quantitative methods focus on gathering measurable numerical data that can be analyzed statistically. These techniques are essential for demonstrating outcomes and trends across larger populations. Social workers might use validated scale to assess depression levels before and after therapy, or deploy community-wide surveys to track changes in housing stability following the implementation of a new support program. The use of numbers and percentages enables practitioners and policymakers to identify patterns, measure progress, and justify investments. Qualitative data are particularly powerful in program evaluation as they provide clear benchmarks and facilitate comparisons between groups, time periods of intervention. So first of all, the fact that qualitative data measurement gives you data, numbers, and things, that helps you present something like a dashboard for decision makers. So you have a dashboard for decision maker to implement, to review, because decision makers like your ministers and directors and don't have time to really sit down and look at all the data. So you would have summarized that and use the data, the numbers, and so develop a chart, whether it's a histogram or a pie chart and things to show a trend. You also use that to show trend. Last month, we had this number of people. This month, we have this number of people. So the progress will determine, or rather the numbers, the trend on the graph will determine whether you're making progress or you are not making progress. And therefore decide what next you need to do. There's also the mixed method. So mixed method research combines the strengths of both qualitative and quantitative approaches, painting a fuller, more multidimensional picture of social work practice. For instance, a mixed method evaluation of a youth mentorship program might include statistical analysis of school attendance records alongside interviews with participants, mentors, and parents. This integration not only enhances the validity of findings, but also illuminates the stories behind the data. By triangulating results, social workers can identify not just what's happening, but also why and how, ensuring interventions are both effective and meaningful. So let's take an example from a Nigerian school in Abuja, Lagos, or Ikero in Osun State. You go to school and you have attendance at all over the place. Today you have 10 people absent. Tomorrow you have 20 people absent. And then next time you have 5 people absent. So it's all, the graph is up, down, up, down, up, down. How do you interpret this graph without knowing why the kids are absent? So you have to do a mixed method. You now have to introduce qualitative method into. How would you do that? You find out those who were absent and now present in school. Take them out to a discussion with approval of the school authorities. Sit with them and find out why. And then also, from the parents of those who've all been have chronic tardiness, they don't come in all the time. You go have a discussion with their parents, a focus group discussion with their parents. Let them discuss what are their challenges, what are this, and so on. That would give you a comprehensive picture of why attendance in the school is just haphazard. It's topsy-turvy. It's up and down. And so you're able to now use that to address solutions or to address an intervention to provide solutions to all of it. So that's where you combine mixed method, you combine the qualitative and quantitative methodology. You can also apply that to different areas to get a clear example and different projects or programs that you are in. So let's look at tools, measurement tools in social work. It's a diverse area of tools support data collection in social work setting because you need a tool. And important thing about those kind of tools that they have to be standardized so that if you use it or 2 people and people who are using it will not get strange results. So standardized assessment scale is one of the tools. These are rigorously tested instruments such as the bed depression inventory analysis, you probably would have known that, or the child behavior checklist, which provides reliable measures of psychological states, behavioral issues, or health conditions. Surveys and questionnaires that we have talked about. Custom designed or standardized, these tools capture a wide range of information from clients' satisfaction with services to changes in lives, conditions, or personal goals achieved. Interviews is also a tool. Whether structured, semi-structured, or open-ended, interviews offer depth and flexibility, allowing social workers to probe for detailed and adaptive questions, or adapt questions according to individual circumstances. You also have observation checklists. Observation checklist is used to document real-time behaviors, skills, or interactions. The observation checklists are particularly useful in schools, clinical, or community environments to monitor progress or assess needs. Case records and files. This is very essential, and you'll find that in many example hospitals and so on, you don't have case records and files, or you have very scanty case records and files. So case records and files, reviewing historical data, documentation, enable practitioners to spot patterns over time, assess service utilization, and track long-term outcomes. So those are tools that you can use if you do your work. Excuse me, my throat is getting dry. So now let's go to types of evaluation in social work. Evaluation activities in social work encompasses distinct but complementary forms, each serving a unique purpose in improving practice and outcomes. We looked at process evaluation. We looked at outcome evaluation. But let's go in more detail into some of them. Process evaluation. This type examines ensuring that the intended model is delivered as planned. It assesses aspects such as participants' engagement, staff adherence to protocols, and the sequence and quality of service provided. For example, process evaluation in instance or whether referral procedures are followed. Outcome evaluation. Outcome evaluation. Outcome evaluation focuses on the tangible effects of interventions, whether the desired changes in clients' well-being, behavior, or circumstances are achieved. In a parenting workshop, outcome evaluation might ensure reduction in reports of child neglect, increase in positive interventions using pre- and post-intervention assessments. Impact evaluation. Impact evaluation looks beyond immediate outcome to assessment social levels, examining the ripple effect of food security initiatives, for instance, might include shift in neighborhood health indicators, school attendance rates, or local economic activities over several years. Formative evaluation. Conducted during program development or early implementation, formative evaluation provides critical feedback for refining methods, addressing challenges, and improving effectiveness. It often involves pilot testing, stakeholder consultations, and interactive adjustments to program design. Summative evaluation. Summative evaluation takes place after the program concludes with the aim of determining overall success, cost effectiveness, lessons learned. It informs decisions about continuing scaling or by thoughtfully employing these varied measures. Sorry, my throat. By thoughtfully employing these varied methods or measurement and evaluation strategies, social workers are equipped to produce or pursue evidence-based practices, advocate for clients, and contribute to improvement in their fields. We have a few more aspects to look at. Methodologies. Methodologies are a rich array of methodologies exists. Methodologies are a rich array, and they exist to guide measurement and evaluation in social work. Their choice of approach depends on the goals of the evaluation, the context in which the work is carried out, and the resources available to practitioners below practitioners. Now, below is a list of, I've kind of pulled out some that we can use. Experimental design. So experimental design. This rigorous approach involves randomly assigning participants to interventions and control groups, allowing evaluators to determine cause and effect relationships. So, for example, in evaluating a new counseling program for at-risk youth, half the participants might receive the intervention while the rest process. Please give me a minute. There's so much interference from here where I am.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, let me just.
All right, sir.
Let me just see if I can get my screen to mix. Let me stop sharing the screen so I can see.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I was at experimental design. So I'll take that again. This rigorous approach involves randomly assigning participants to interventions and control groups, allowing evaluators to determine cause and effects relationships. For example, evaluating a new counseling program for at-risk youth, half the participants might receive the intervention while the rest continue with standardized services. This randomized process reduces biases and helps ensure that differences in outcomes can be attributed to intervention itself. There is one that's called quasi-experimental design. So when randomization isn't possible or practical, common in community-based or real-world settings, quasi-experimental designs are used. These designs compare outcomes between a group that are similar in key ways, even if not randomly assigned. For instance, a domestic violence shelter might compare the progress of residents participating in a new support group to those in traditional programming, accounting for demographic and risk factor to strengthen validity. Pre-post designs is another one. One of the most straightforward approaches, pre-post designs measure outcomes before and after interventions to assess changes over time. In a substance abuse prevention program, participants may or might complete a self-assessment survey or risk behavior, both prior to and upon completion of the program. While lacking a comparison group, this design provides valuable information about shifts attributable to the intervention. So this is a common thing that is applicable in Nigeria. Pre-test and post-test. Usually when you want to start a workshop, you do pre-test and then followed by post-test, and then you determine learning. Don't know how true that is. So you might need another kind of evaluation to elucidate that information, to show that learning actually occurred. And so maybe that's why usually I don't focus much on pre and post tests. It's an easy way to know that. But has learning truly occurred? I don't know. Longitudinal studies. Longitudinal research tracks individuals families, or communities across months or years. This allows social workers to observe both immediate and lasting effects. For example, a longitudinal study might follow foster care alumni, people who graduated from foster care program, to examine how independent living skills influence housing stability, employment, and well-being over time. So we don't use foster care most of the time in Nigeria. We use most of the time we use orphanages. I don't know, and please feel free to unmute and comment on this. Has anybody measured the outcome of people who have graduated and left the orphanage and are living a life now? Has there been any study like that? I see you muted. I can do that, please.
Sir, I just the people who live the foster care homes, as an administrator, I noticed that some of them were sponsored, and then when they come out successfully, they give back to the society. Even the foster care homes where they come from, they give back to them, and they become somebody in future.
Well, they've always been somebody. They have always been somebody at times, and it's good that they give back to.
They give back.
The community, for social work, and also to the community. I mean, they give back to the orphanage and so also to the community. But the question is, how have they been living their lives in their family, with their children?
First,
the lady that why did they get to the foster care? Or why did they go into the orphanage?
Because the lady in question, she did not even know the parents. She was dropped in the refuge, this thing.
Right.
They picked her and took her there. So she didn't really have family. So we become a family.
Okay, so let me put it this way. When she was dropped there, at what age was she dropped in that
When
place?
she was a baby. When she was a baby. Yes, sir.
Okay. Because why I ask this question is, we need to know, many people are brought into foster care or to orphanages when they have already known a few things about themselves, about life, about relationship with parents and things.
Okay.
And so they come into foster care or orphanage.
Okay.
And then by the time they get beyond the age of staying in an orphanage, they're supposed to now have to go beyond their own.
Okay.
So have we assessed, do we know the number of people that have been out of the orphanage? And have we followed them over time to see if their lives and so on has changed somehow by either society, although because the orphanage is a closed environment. How have they been able to adapt to the open society? And things? So that's what I'm trying to drive. So maybe a research, follow-up, focus group discussions might help to bring out this. We identify those people who left or let's say graduated from the orphanage and are on their own. Kind of develop a questionnaire that we can say this will be used for research, testing. This will be used to find out progress of development of those who left orphanages. And also develop questions for focus group discussions as for qualitative research to again elucidate whatever data we get from the quantitative research. And we can do a paper on life after orphanage. That's a possible paper that can be done and published.
Okay.
And then that would help us assess how orphanages have influenced the lives of children. And it will also help the orphanages to determine what improvement they need to make, if there are any, on that. Because the purpose of orphanage is to be able to build the children and get them to a stage where whatever it is that happened before they came to the orphanage doesn't affect their lives going forward. Would that be something that any of you can pick up to do?
Yes, sir.
It's something
Yes,
that it's something that can be done, and you publish a paper on it. And maybe something that November is coming. We may not be able to get the full research completed, but ISO conference is coming, and so that could be something that can be presented in the conference. Either the process evaluation, that means you put it in place and you already studied, so preliminary results can then be developed, can then be gotten and presented at that conference. I'll be happy to support that process and see what will come out of it.
okay, sir.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So yes, so next is participatory action research, PAR. This collaborative approach engages clients, community members, and stakeholders as co-researchers through the evaluation process. PAR not only generates data, but also empowers participants by giving them a voice in defining issues, shaping solutions, and interpreting findings. For instance, youth in community centers might help design surveys, collect data among their peers, and co-present results to social policymakers. So overall, these methodologies are not mutually exclusive. Often evaluators blend elements from multiple approaches to best suit their needs of their implementation, of their program implementation and participants. Careful selection and thoughtful adaptation of methodologies enhances the credibility, relevance, and impact of social work practice. So we'll go into challenges. We talked about it as if everything works perfect. So now we're going to challenges.
Okay.
Complexity. So first of all, I can't close this door. These people are just getting me fully distracted. Let me do this. This one now is there. Let me go into where I can close the door. Ah, crazy. Sorry, guys. I have to relocate. We are in a travel mode, so people are waking up and meeting and talking, and they forget that I already warned them that I have lecture. They start talking and they miss them. So sorry.
Okay.
So challenges in measurement and evaluation. Unique and multifaceted challenges that require thoughtful navigation, adaptive strategies. It's important for us to know the different sections and so on, so we'll be able to break it down well and apportion the challenges based on certain aspects. For example, complexity of human experience. You see, the human being has a lot of interactive aspects affecting the human being. The way the mind works, the way the brain interprets what it sees are different from different people, or rather in different people. The experience that they have based on their environment and also inform the way they behave. And so that's why the human being is complex. And so you cannot use one measurement or measure one human being and say, that is how it is done. And we human beings also tend to generalize a lot. If somebody does something, automatically the tribe is blamed for that completely. Because that person is from that tribe. Therefore, all of them behave like that.
Okay.
That's a fallacy of unsound generalization. And you also call it non sequitur. It does not follow. Because somebody from this tribe does something, it doesn't follow that all people from that tribe will do the same or do things like that. No. So complexity of human experience. Social issues seldom exist in isolation. Rather, they are woven into the intricate tapestry of personal histories, cultural contexts, and environmental influences. Standardized measurement tools may not capture the nuance of lived experience, example, very clearly. Meaning, important aspects of client's journey can be overlooked. For example, assessing the effectiveness of a youth mentoring program may require attention to school performance, family relationships, mental health, and community safety. All factors that interact in subtle ways on that one person. So if you think about it, and think about yourselves, when you were in school, I know that as students, how your interactions are different because of where you come from or where you live. You know? So let's take cultural sensitivity. Instruments developed for one cultural context may not translate seamlessly into another. That's why you always have to give example to ensure that you relate it to a specific setting. So that when people are judging or reading or drawing inferences, it will be specific to that one setting and not a general. Social workers must be vigilant in ensuring that questions, language, and procedures are respectful and meaningful for participants from diverse backgrounds. You know, I usually, when I do training on peer education or youths in those days, I have a good example that I usually give that is two cultures or two languages, a word meaning meaning complete opposite of each other. Who can tell me a word in your language that means a complete opposite in another language that you know or you have heard? Anybody give me that? Okay, let's not spend time on asking for example. Well, let me give you the word. In Yoruba language, when you say wa, what does it mean? It means come,
Means
right?
come.
It means come, yes. But in a particular language, in a particular dialect of a language, in a particular dialect of a language, and I say dialect because I want to be specific, in Igbo language, So when the man say wa, it means run. But Yoruba man says wa means come. So it's a complete opposite. So when you are in a place, there are some things. Now I have to put it in context. And there are things happening. And there's chaos and so on. And you find a person sitting and two or three Yoruba people sitting in the same place and there's chaos. And Yoruba man says, oh, Ewa, Ewa. The Igbo people that are there will listen to that and they will take off while the Yoruba people are coming. The Igbo people will take off. The Owerri people will take off. So that's the contextual way to look at it, which is, that's always fun though, when I put that across. So that's why you need to know cultural sensitivities to a lot of other things, you know. I mean, I use this in a lighter mode, but there are certain things that are sensitive to certain cultures that are not sensitive in other cultures. So you must be contextual in your statement when you're saying this, so that you don't use things that would rather create a breach between you and the people that you're talking to because you did not consider their cultural sensitivities and so on. You know, another example on that is you go within a Muslim community, the women cover their head, the puna, and you're here talking to them. You can't say, well, please take off your hood. I'd like to see your face. No, that is wrong. That is wrong. So you need to be culturally sensitive. There's something that happened in the very first republic. In the first republic, with Chief Awolowo going to campaign in the north. I don't know if many people heard that. And that completely made him lose face among the north. He went to campaign and he took a helicopter to fly around the community and things. And the leaders of the community got angry. At that time, they have areas where they had their wives to stay in my wives in Puda. So, and they have walls around it, so people cannot see into the compound. But here's Awolowo flying his helicopter over their compound. And they blamed him for flying over the compound. Now he's seeing their wives in their element in the compound when they shouldn't be seeing that. Ordinarily, we in the South will say, well, what's wrong with that? But that's the sensitivity that they don't like. And so that affected initial acceptance of Awolowo in the North. But many people, I read this and I was shocked that could be an issue. But the later Sadwana of Sokoto was video, he was saying it in video. And it was like, okay, so that's what's going on. And that I learned a lot from that, working in the North, you know. So cultural thing is cultural sensitivity is very important, you know, and this could involve translating surveys, consulting with cultural book brokers, or adapting interviews, protocols to reflect local customs and values. So that when you go to implement them, you minimize the risk of misinterpretation or alienating the people. You know. Ethical dilemma, very important. The need for robust data must be balanced with ethical imperatives such as client privacy, dignity, autonomy. And these are key social work things. You must maintain that. Social workers often encounter situations where a client's willingness to share is constrained by fear of judgment or repercussions. Practitioners must earn trust, clarify boundaries, and create a safe environment for disclosure, all while fulfilling reporting and accountability requirements. Resource limitations. Effective evaluation demands time, funding, and expertise. Resources that are often scarce in social services and organizations. Time is very scarce because I have a lot of things you want to do. Funding certainly even more scarce. Limited staff competing priorities can hinder the regular collection and analysis of data. In response, social workers may need to adopt creative solutions, such as leveraging technology for data capture or partnering with academic institutions to support evaluation efforts. Where you have limitations, you look at areas where you can get support to address those limitations. Validity and reliability. And this is very important because this helps your information to be generally or widely accepted. And note this about wide acceptability because it's very important. Ensuring that measurement tools deliver accurate and consistent results is a continual concern. Instruments must be rigorously tested and, if necessary, adapted to suit population and context. For instance, a depression scale validated with adults might be reliable for use with adolescents without further refinement. Or might not, sorry. So if you develop a tool for adults, you can't use it it may not be useful usable for adolescents, so you have to zero it now. Client engagement, those are also challenges. Clearly, obtaining authentic participation from clients can be particularly challenging, especially on sensitive topics such as trauma, substance abuse, family conflict, social work. So, social workers must build rapport, explain the benefits of evaluation using trauma-informed and strength-based approaches to foster open communication. Altogether, these challenges underscore the importance of flexibility, cultural humility, and ongoing reflection in the measurement and evaluation processes. By participating and deliberately addressing these obstacles, social workers can enhance the quality and utility of their findings, ensuring that evaluation remains for empowering and social change. So, ethical practices, ethical considerations. Ethical standards are the very heart of measurement and evaluation within the social work profession. As social workers engaged in assessing outcomes, evaluating performance, or gathering data about individuals and communities, they must be guided by robust ethical framework, adherence to professional codes and standards is not merely a procedural necessity, but a profound commitment to protecting the rights, dignity, and well-being of all involved. The following principles: informed consent, confidentiality, transparency, non-discrimination, and beneficence form the foundations of ethical measurements. And I'll share notes on those ones. How much time do we have? 30 minutes for?
Yes, sir.
So I use that 30 minutes to look at best practices. You'll see informed consent on my notes because that's very. Select appropriate tools. Best practices for effective. Oh, my battery is running down. Please give me a minute. Sorry, guys. Okay. All right, so much. So we're looking at best practices. So selection of appropriate tools. Selecting the right measurement is critical for ensuring validity and reliability results. And remember, I told you about reliability and how it is linked to wide acceptability. So social workers should seek out tools that have been rigorously tested, proven effective with populations similar to those they serve. This includes reviewing literature for evidence of reliability and cultural sensitivity, piloting tools when possible, and adapting existing instruments. Adapting instrument to existing local context without compromising integrity in cases where no suitable tool exists. Social workers may need to develop and validate new measures in partnership with experts and stakeholders, train staff and stakeholders. Proper training is essential to guarantee the consistency and accuracy of data collection. So social workers should provide comprehensive guidance to all individuals involved in measurement and evaluation. This includes agency staff, volunteers, and even community partners. Next is engage clients. Involving clients and participants in the measurement and evaluation processes promotes empowerment and ensures that assessments reflect their needs and perspective. This engagement can range from consulting clients on what outcomes matters most to co-designing surveys or interview protocols to involving them in interpreting and disseminating results. Interactive processes. These are best practices. Measurement and evaluation should not be static. Instead, they benefit from ongoing reflection and refinement. So it's always something that keeps going on all the time. The use of mixed methods. That's another best practice. Employing both quantitative and qualitative approaches to approaches that allow social workers to gain a comprehensive understanding of their intervention's impact. And then disseminating findings, like using the C-ISOWN conference as a forum for disseminating findings. Sharing results with stakeholders is a vital step in the measurement and evaluation process. Social workers should tailor dissemination strategies to meet the needs of different audiences, such as clients, agencies, leadership, funders, policymakers, and the wider community. So, application of practice. You have direct application. In program development, you have a policy analysis. I'll take this policy analysis. Policy analysis in social work measurement and evaluation involves systematic assessment on how policies and legislators affect individuals and communities. Social workers collect and analyze data to evaluate the implementation of processes, identify their strengths and weaknesses, and measure their real-world impact on target populations. This process enables practitioners to make informed recommendations for policy reforms that further equity and justice, advocacy, and then research. So, in summary, measurement and evaluation are critical pillars of social work, shaping everything from direct client practice to program development, policy analysis, and advocacy. Measurement involves systematically collecting and interpreting data on client needs, progress, and outcome using a range of qualitative and quantitative tools. Evaluation builds on the measurements, builds these measurements to determine the effectiveness and value of interventions, whether at the individual or program or policy level. Together, these practices involve the evidence base that allows social workers to improve services, demonstrate accountability, and advocate for social changes. So social workers face challenges such as complex human experience, cultural sensitivities, ethical dilemmas, limited resources, and the need for reliable tools. Addressing these challenges require adherence to ethical principles like formative consent, confidential and non-discrimination, and the use of best practices, including stakeholders, engagement, mixed method approaches, and transparent disseminations of findings. As the field evolves, measurement and evaluation empowers social workers to make data-driven decisions, continually improve their practices, and ultimately enhance the lives of individuals and communities they serve. There are some recommended readings here. Greenell RM and UNRWA YA 2018, Social Work Research and Evaluation, Foundation of Evidence-Based Practice. Then Rubin A. and Babi E. 2016, Research Methods for Social Work, and Royce D. 2020, Program Evaluation and Introduction to Evaluation or to Evidence-Based Approaches. And that ends our lecture for today. So thank you all very much. You have a question? Like I said, I will share this with you all. I'll share it with the IT man, and he will share it with you all.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. You have thoughts, comments?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much, and hopefully we'll talk some more. Have a good evening.
Okay, sir.
Same here, sir.
Sure. And thanks to IT for all the work done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.